Yes, guys. Welcome back to Still Color. I am Kevin, and you are now watching the new review of the Earl Sweatshirts Sick album. Okay, guys. Interesting. Earl Sweatshirt, a rapper that I really like. I do think he's also one of the best rappers that are out there, and I haven't been very big fan of his last few projects. There's been good stuff with it, but I found a lot of it to be very experimental and also removed from the more, let's say, conventional sounding records on his debut album. Things have just kind of gone more towards the left. And as an individual, my listening ears, I don't mind things to be experimental, but most of the time I do prefer it to have some sort of conventionalness to give me some easy to digest aspect of it, and not too far off. And I feel like that's where Earl Sweatshirt has been going. And of course, some of you lot out there are fans of it, you lot love it. So shout out to you lot that do. But for me, a bit too much. And yeah, with this new album, if you lot have checked albums that I anticipated, this was one of them. I hope that he will get the balance a little bit right. And I think this album is definitely more conventional than the last album. It still does have that, I wouldn't necessarily say experimental edge to it. It's more lo-fi aspect. Obviously, the play time on this album is much shorter again. Maybe I think shorter than the last one as well. And I think that's a good aspect of the album on this sick album, is that he doesn't overstay his welcome. He keeps the beat selection and the production, most of it quite short, except from the last few records. Or I think the last record on the album, that's the longest one. So it makes it like an easy to digest and to listen to this album. I think that's what keeps the album, because listening to the album and trying to take in some of the lyrics, I feel like thematically it's not as sort of strong. It's more loose feeling. Which is pretty much, the same as the sort of sound on the album. So it's not intense or in its sort of strictness on its sound. It's much loose feeling, and it allows for the theme of the album to steer into different directions. So he's not always talking about this the same theme, but sometimes he keeps with the same theme. I think Lobby International is a good example of that, where I think he starts off talking a little bit about himself, and then he steers into talking about his granddad, who is basically dying. But then again, the production again is just so interesting there as well. And we see a lot on this album, actually. If I could bring up the records I like the first record, I believe, which is Old Friend as well. I do love that song. It's such a sort of like intro, I guess, as well. Nice intro to the album as well. Again, very short, 1 minute and 20 seconds as well. And yeah, always just staring from, leaving, Odd Future, and coming into his own as an artist as well. Also making these nice reference to the, the pandemic, because this album was written in the pandemic, and essentially like dealing with life struggle, like the pandemic, which was for many people, and overcoming and dealing with the struggle as well. So really some really nice lyrics. This one, I do love the production. I believe, I'm not sure who produced that. Let's see who produced that one. The Alchemist. Okay, Alchemist did that. And then we go back into 2010 as well, which is a record that has grown more for me. I thought, I don't know, it's quite interesting to listen to this album. I think the more that I listen and digest of it, the more I'm finding sort of new things that I really like about it. Because it's 2020 is such a different feel to what's it called, the first album on the record as well. You get me? And it makes for an interesting transition. I'm listening to this sort of epic-esque or the sort of tone epicness of the intro record to this more, boppier record, if I could say. And it's just Earl Sweatshirt talking about the hardship of his life as well. The hardship that he's sort of going through his life and just dealing with those hardship and somewhat overcoming those hardship as well. And it's made for an interesting beat that on the outset is less emotive. You feel like most singers or most artists will make it more emotive. elicit a response from the listener to feel more sad. But I feel like with this, it's just more head bopping and more that going on, and it's not until you actually deep and listen to the lyrics that you're like, okay. And it goes quite a lot. Like if I bring up more of the track listing on this album as well, the way he just stares. And I think I already said Lobby International. Lobby International is a good example as well. But certainly other songs on this album. And really and truly, the records that I really did like were Old Friend, 2010 and Lie as well. Is, soulful sample again, that makes it such a easy grab to. Probably quite similar to some of his work in the past as well. So for our listeners, that's easy to get into. But again, the thematic of it as well. And then so interesting lines. If I can bring up the lyric here as well. Sometimes the pain sit and fester into hate, beloved. I'm working on it. Do you get me? It's like, these theme of self, and analyzing the issues one has in their life, and acknowledging it, and working on it. And that's again what we find a lot on this album as well. When it's until you listen to the album a little bit more, you're able to get these interesting perspective that he pulls up on things as well. And I feel like this is an album that I'm going to probably need to pick at it a little bit more. I just feel like I just got to the skin, to the teeth of it, But that is some of the stuff that I do like. But what I disliked on this album is record like, I think, not even I think, I know, Sick, Vision and Tabula. And if we can go to the record Sick, I'm not a biggest fan of trap music, but I don't mind it. And there are some trap records that I think are amazing records. And I just feel like the execution over here leaves a lot to be wanting. And I think this record was produced by Ancestors, and I have no clue what else he's done, but he does a loads of things. I'm just kind of going, he's done some stuff for Young Thug as well, Franco. He's done guest appearances. Michael McHomey, Wiki as well. He produced some stuff on Half God as well, which apparently was a good album as well. I think if you lot like the Sick album, you check out Wiki, Half God, and also Pritash had that as one of his favorite albums. So yeah, big fan of trap. No, I'm not a big fan of trap. I do like some trap records that I think are astonishingly amazing. And I just think it's interesting. It feels like this record is quite directionless. But again, the themes are quite sort of strong there. The themes are definitely there, talking about, overcoming things in life, and fighting the devil as well, not giving in, loads of these things. It's very interesting with Earl Sweatshirt that you can get something that doesn't sound as great, and then it's not until you kind of like take it in and try to listen to it, that's when you're like, oh, hold on, he is discussing about something. And that kind of also follow in with the other two records that I mentioned that I didn't like. But my conclusion to this album is that it's not a bad album. I think it's a good album, and therefore I'll give it a strong 6. It's an album that I will definitely try to listen to more and take more into and see what else that I like about it. And maybe the score could change, but for now it stands as a 6. I think one of the drawbacks that I dislike about the album is that it's the theme not necessarily matching the production. Sometimes it's not a bad thing, but sometimes it can be quite misleading, like the record we just played now. What's it called? Sick. You feel like you got such a hard-hitting beat, and you would want something more emotive. Like some other records that he's done in his career. Maybe the record called Grief. I think Grief is interesting. Grief is super interesting. I think that's probably one of his astonishing record, actually. A fantastic record with this sort of warped sound, kind of like, mirroring this sort of warped or this sort of drowned out thinking, that happens once when you're going through something that's difficult as grief. But overall, not a bad album. Guys, let me know what you lot think about the album. What's good and what's bad about it? Especially with someone like Earl Sweatshirt, I'm sure he got loads of people who were waiting for this and to see. What were your expectations? Do you think your lot's expectations were met? And if so, why? And if it wasn't, tell me why not. I would like to know as well. Anything that I might have missed that could always add a bigger understanding to it. So thank you a lot for watching. So I'll be coming up with more reviews. Stay blessed, people. Peace.